So hello everyone. Today I'm going to be in conversation with our very own Jager, who has just received an award from UNICollaboration relating to his work with virtual exchange. But Sake, before I get stuck in and ask you some questions, just introduce yourself to our viewers.
Yes, I'm Jager. I work at the University of Groningen in the Netherlands. I'm a project manager in teaching and learning innovation. But these past few years, several years, I've really focused a lot on virtual exchange in my university.
So, Sake, congratulations on your award. UNICollaboration has seen fit to award you for your services to virtual exchange. So, to put it in a bit of context, you've been involved many years. How did you get into virtual exchange? Why? And, why has it had such an impact on your career?
Yeah, I put some of this information on in the LinkedIn post already. But so to give it a little brief, I got involved actually through Robert O'Dowd mostly. We were already experimenting with virtual exchange in some languages in the University of Groningen, also working with Italian universities with English as a lingua franca. And yeah, I really liked virtual exchange because it emphasizes the human side of technology. So it's the human-to-human connectivity, which is very important. And then I was fortunate to be invited by Robert O'Dowd into the Intent project, which started around 2011. I think we first met at a conference, a Eurocall conference in Nottingham, and that's where we got going. So in our first meeting, we decided, yeah, what shall we call the website which we're developing? And so we decided to call it UNICollaboration. We weren't quite sure whether it should be with a hyphen or without. So we had both versions originally on the website, which was hosted by the Open University in the UK. So that's how I got involved. And so that's actually the name UNICollaboration is already quite old. It's almost 15 years old now. So that's also interesting, I think, to know.
Thank you. So why do you think, you mentioned the human-to-human contact, is that one of the reasons why virtual exchange has had such an impact on your career and why you've stuck with it for so long?
Yeah, I think it is something that I always continue to cherish on the side, because of course, as a project manager in teaching and learning innovation, you look at all the developments in computer assisted language learning. So at the time, we had a lot of interest in what we called online or digital testing, which was a bit of a strange word, but this was also taking off around in the same period. And there were also other developments. But yeah, I wasn't learning analytics, but the area that really caught on with teachers was actually virtual exchange. So, and also students. So everyone who did it was normally very enthusiastic about the results. And so that also made it clear to me that this was an area to really focus on, or at least to somehow keep in my portfolio of activities, because the technology changes forever, but the uses also change, always change, of course. But I think this was really one of the forms of using computer technology, which I thought would be with us for a long time. It had already been with us for a long time in different forms, because it builds on what is called computer-mediated communication. I'm originally also an English teacher, and so language learning is also one of my focuses of foci. I don't know how you call that in English, but computer-mediated communication had always been a very important area of practice and research in language learning. It fitted in very nicely with that context.
So, Sake, you've been involved for more than 15 years. So you've been telling me a lot about the technology and everything, but in terms of virtual exchange, what changes have you seen? How has it evolved in the period of time that you've been embracing the pedagogy?
Well, I think I'm not sure if we can say that it simply developed. I think also UNICollaboration was actually, or it intended to take it beyond languages. So I think that's the main development. Though this had been around in I think in the COIL project in the US. Virtual exchange, as we now see it, developed from telecollaboration. So I think it's now being developed, especially, of course, after the pandemic, much more widely across disciplines. And I think that there's also a bit of a risk in that it maybe becomes some kind of maybe commodified, that some institutions are also starting to use it to just attract students and maybe not value the grassroots nature of virtual exchange, because I think it can only work well through these connections that exist between the teachers. So they, especially
it's a personal
work
contact.
very closely together, but also in the other models that we have supported in several projects. You at least need a knowledgeable facilitator to make sure that the way in which the students work together actually is effective for whatever purpose you have in mind. So the purpose may also be different, but it also connects people. I think it's a very important tool in globalization and also in times of radicalization. So all these aspects, I think, make it such an interesting tool. It's also in support of sustainable development goals these days. So.
Yes, indeed. I've been doing interviews for our blog and YouTube channel, and very, very often this aspect of the close connection and the relationship between the partners comes out all the time, and it's an absolute fundamental has to have a good relationship for the virtual exchange to succeed. So what about some of the biggest impacts or successes that you've seen, or that you have acknowledged and been involved with during your time?
I think it's important that I am actually a supporter of teachers. And so I'm not a teacher myself. So quite a lot of teachers. So I'm not running virtual exchange projects myself. I support teachers in doing so. And this is also very nice, because then you can also see the different forms and different ways in which it takes off. And some of the important developments that I've seen in my time is that teachers are now really, who really like it, are really embracing virtual exchange, simply because they think it is an essential component for their students to develop certain competencies. And these go far beyond language and culture. I think we ran, I think the project that I'm most proud of organizing myself is Evolve. And so when we did research at different levels, so we looked at the development of outcomes at institutional level, at teacher level, and at student level. And what we found at student level is that it has an important impact on students' personality. So self-efficacy is really developing, or at least that's what we see from the research, is really, or can be developed through virtual exchange. They feel more responsible. So agency, which is also a topic that we talked about last week in a conference, is very important. So students are made responsible, at least in the ways in which we support it, for their own learning. They have to make their own appointments with peers, and also make sure that the exchanges or the tasks that they do, the project that they work on with their peers, go well, and report on that, of course, and reflect.
Yes,
so I think that's really a key element in virtual exchange.
I think clearly you think it's here to stay, and more institutions are taking it on also as part of their internationalization at home strategy. So finally, Sake, where do you see it going in the future? Do you have any predictions or thoughts about?
Yeah, I see it as a very important tool to bring in these different perspectives on all kinds of issues. And so, of course, the biggest change, which is now upon us, is the rise of artificial intelligence.
Right.
And the way I see it, it also helps us to develop, because it's can be applied cross-disciplinary. I think it's a very important way of bringing these different perspectives on these new developments in society, not only AI, also other developments, bringing these together, and also having or reinforcing the human element, I think, in the use of technology. And if we look at learning, it is normally, or it's sometimes defined as having three kinds of components. So it has teaching presence, it has instructional presence, and it has social presence. And I think one of the ways in which AI is applied now is it tries to just take all these presences. So AI is, you engage with AI, so it's the social the interlocutor. It is also the instructor. So it also provides the content on what you want to learn. And I think this can make learning a very lonely experience because, of course, it can be done, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this is how we want it to be done. And I think this is really one of the big challenges, to make sure that with all these developments around AI and the big tech companies taking the lead, that we try to make sure that the human element in learning, also in learning with technology, is safe. And I think this is that's what I see as a kind of task for organizations such as UNICollaboration. Although it helps to bring these it helps to bring the learners from all these different disciplines and regions together, we should also make sure that that element of CMC, which is really the basis of virtual exchange, in the sense of CMC, computer-mediated communication with someone else, not with a computer, that element is really retained. I think that could be our mission in one way or another.
Thank you so much, Sake, for sharing your thoughts with us today, and congratulations on your recognition in your work.
Yeah, thank you very much. And this would not have been possible, of course, with all these people who I've worked with. And so I try to acknowledge their help and assistance, and all their work also in the post which I made recently. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you.